tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh, there it is. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I'm a lover. Okay, sorry, I'm going to spare you guys my singing, my terrible singing. Welcome to the House of DVF after show. It is season 1, episode 4. The bitch is out of the bag, hence the awesome music we have going with us right now. I am your host, Tiona Hobson, and joining me is my lovely co-host.
Hey everyone, it's Anastacia Waller.
We are 2 people short, but that's just because of the Thanksgiving holiday. But, you know, actually just means we're more committed to this show than they are.
Totally,
that's what it means. It does not mean that.
Sorry, girls.
Sorry, not sorry. The bitch is out of the bag now. So overall, you know, we're on season 4 now, and I feel like we're getting... Episode 4. Wow, I said season. I feel like we're getting a better sense of the girls. I'm starting to know them a little better and remember them all together.
It's funny because the first time we watched the first episode, we were like, okay, this person's going to the top, this person, this girl. We know this. We can tell. And then each week that goes by, it's like, maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe my prediction's wrong.
Yes.
Maybe I don't know anything. So let's start off at the top. We have the Bergdorf
Goodman event.
Goodman. I knew I was going to screw that one up. And we have this event where the girls are going to be dressing clients, and DVF is there as well. And it's kind of a chance for her to meet people, and, you know, they're on the floor being salesmen. And what I loved was that Abigail comes in very confident in her outfit.
So confident in her outfit. And Stephanie just gives her the biggest side eye and like, I'm not impressed. She's wearing lingerie. I know. I felt bad. I love Abigail because I do love her strong personality and how confident she is. But this episode, and especially with that event, I got the understanding that she feels like who she is whether or not if that's what DVF wants her, but she's not meeting in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, she has to be the brand ambassador for DVF, or it's what she's going after. So it can't be just who she is. Because she made a comment that, oh, I don't know what they want me to do. When I first came here, they knew who I was, how I dressed, how I talked. Now they want to change me. It's like, it's not that. It's just the brand has to represent a certain image. They felt that, you know, she obviously had something. That's why they brought her on. But she's not really, like, getting that part.
Yeah, because even in last week's episode, you know, when they were doing the event with the PR people, you know, and, like, showing them the new line and everything, DVF said, like, it's fine that, you know, you are that confident and you, like, have this personality, but you just need to focus it and, like, learn how to tame it into, like, what they need it to be.
Right.
Kind of, like, you can have the big personality and also be, like, a great representation of, you know, the brand and everything that's happening. So, I mean, I get what you're saying with that, you know, she kind of thinks, like, well, which I think a lot of people have problems with, especially when they're, like, big personalities, or, like, sometimes it takes you a long time to get to accept that of yourself. And then when someone's like, dial it back, you're like, whoa.
They get really defensive.
Yeah, you get defensive about it.
And she feels like DVF isn't, or the team of DVF isn't accepting her for who she is. And it's like, wait, that's not it. Because DVF's brand represents a certain type of image. So they're not, I think it was, Jessica's her name, right? The redhead? Is it Jessica or is it Stephanie?
I think her name is maybe.
The beautiful ginger.
Yes.
Told her that, hey, we're not trying to change who you are. It's just that you have to represent the company. Even, I mean, all the people who work for DVF do. You know, that might not be their personality on the weekends. They might not be going around in wrap dresses, but while they're there and when they're, especially at press events, they need to represent, you know, DVF's brand and her vision and her image, especially as the brand ambassador.
Yes. Yeah, it is actually Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica.
Yeah, I definitely called her Stephanie in all my notes.
I think Stephanie's only like the mother hen.
Yeah, the mother hen.
Yes.
And I think that's why I was just like, Stephanie.
I know.
Nope. Well, Abigail doesn't only struggle with, what she's wearing, but she's also the only girl who they show who wasn't actually really
selling the
dresses or actively helping clients. She was kind of standing in the corner, just like, sales aren't really my thing, so...
Yeah,
it's not a strong...
It's so weird how these girls they should be willing to do everything. When you get an opportunity, you don't just say, oh, it's not my thing.
Yeah. And I'm like, I was always that kid who hated going door to door to sell, like, cookies, whatever, ice cream, whatever it was. I hated doing that. I hated being the salesperson for it, but it's something that my parents always, they're like, well, I'm not doing it. You have to ask these people for it because it's not my responsibility. So I kind of felt like I understand where she's coming from because I hated being that person.
Right.
But then at the same time, it's like, if you really want to win this, even in like your weakest spots, you're going to find a way to shine through.
And that's the thing. You and I know in the beginning, we really liked Abigail, and I still do. And we were really rooting for her, which I think a lot of people are, because she had such a great backstory when she was talking about her brother and her family. And this was her huge opportunity. So you would think with that mentality that she would be doing whatever it takes. If someone gives her criticism or constructive criticism, she would take it and be like, okay, well, what specifically do I need to work on? Because if she's not getting it, she needs to ask. And Lenore's good about doing that. Okay, well, what can I do? What is it about this outfit? But she gets so defensive every time, and that can really hinder her from moving forward. Even after DVF, it's like you can't be defensive. If you want to move forward, you have to be willing to accept the criticism and make the small changes, because they're saying it for their own good. It's not like, I'm sure there was thousands of girls that applied to be on the show and she got picked. So
she's there for a reason. She's there because they picked her. So,
right.
I think she can still turn it around.
Yeah. She's got a great personality. She's definitely really fun.
Yeah, and it is like a great young personality that could go out there and really connect DVF with, a younger audience. So,
right. And she's not shy.
Yeah.
I feel like I would want to hang out with Abigail the most on the show.
Who wouldn't? I'd show up and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so underdressed right now. But I would love to hang out with her, and seeing her as a face for a brand would make me want to go do it. You bring up stuff about diversity and just like younger people, and it's like, oh, look, there's someone who looks like me in that dress, you know? So it's like that whole thing. So she's got a lot going for her to actually win this thing.
Yes.
She just, I don't know if it's, just the way they're editing things or whatnot, because I know that, we've been keeping up with the girls and what they're saying on Twitter and on their website pages and stuff like that. And one of the big things is like, you guys don't know the full stories.
Right.
So it's like we know that we're getting the edited down version of things, so we have to, I guess, keep that in mind.
I know. I'd love to get Abigail in here so we can ask her.
Yeah, ask her about it.
Yes.
Well, Abigail did get to go out and have a little fun.
Yes.
With Gina and Amanda. Mm-hmm. Now, Gina is newly single, which she has voiced many times.
Right. She's totally ready to turn up in New York City.
Yeah. She says she doesn't think she's boy crazy. What do you think from what we're seeing?
I think she's probably the most wild in the show, and I didn't get that image when, the first few episodes, but after kind of seeing this last episode, I'm like, okay, Gina's ready to turn up, but all in good fun. They're in New York City, so.
And while they're out, Gina loves tequila shots, which... because both times they went out, she was like, we need more tequila.
I know.
I was like, whoa, that is asking for it. When you go to tequila shots, you're really trying to, you're on one to, get
because
turned
a tequila
all the way
shot
up.
Is a birthday shot. We do those on special occasions in Mexico and on your birthday.
Mm-hmm. There was a saying at my college, mostly it was just for drunk girls, but it was like, tequila makes my clothes come off, because it's like as soon as the shots of tequila came, it's like girls would be like, woo, spring break.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how she gets
or
got. But I felt most bad for the guy that they met, Travis.
Me too. The band manager. She's so harsh on the guys.
She's so harsh, and I feel like the way this scene was sliced together, that the point when he gets up and leave, I feel like that was like a different thing that he got up and left about.
Probably.
But it just was funny how it was like, oh, you're a band manager? And then it's like, yeah. And then it's like quiet and he's like, oh.
But she still made that nasty comment. Even if they clipped the scene, she still actually said, oh, so what do you do? Get snacks and stuff or coffee? I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, coming from a girl who's going for brand ambassadors, like you're still kind of an intern.
Yeah.
You didn't win yet. So you guys are at the same level maybe.
And I mean, a lot of tour managers, like they make good money on those tours.
They do.
They make good money. Like they might not dress like they make a lot of money, but that's because most of the time they're picking up like amplifiers and stuff like that. But like that's a good job. And they travel, they see the world. Like he's a world traveler. I'm just talking this guy up. But you know the one thing he doesn't have? Green eyes.
Oh, yes.
He doesn't have green eyes. So
I don't really know that
why would
many
we even
guys
talk to him?
I know. I don't know that many guys with green eyes. That was like a unique color she picked there.
Yeah. I mean, but
now we know what kind of guy she's into.
Her mixed little green-eyed babies would be super cute, so I understand what she's after.
I feel bad for her boyfriend, because in the first episode, she said that she was leaving, she had nothing to lose, she lost her boyfriend, now she's boy crazy on the show. Oh my gosh, poor guy.
Poor guy having to watch this.
I know.
Well, I mean, they show up at the office the next day, and it's time to present their sketches that they've, created, and they're showing them to Mike.
They started those last week, right?
Yeah.
The sketches, yeah.
Yeah, they started them, so now they're presenting them. And Gina shows up, and I thought she looked a lot better than I actually thought she was going to look from a night out partying. And I thought that Amanda actually looked more hungover.
Yeah, because she had the glasses on, and it looked like she was trying to disguise the night before or something.
Yeah, but what's her face? Jessica straight up calls out Gina.
That she looks hungover.
Oh yeah, she's definitely hungover. You walk in here like all disheveled, and I was like, oh, if that's her looking disheveled, you do not want to see me at work the day and the night after.
Me too. Yeah, I didn't think she looked bad either, but I don't know. That could have been some editing too, or maybe she looked worse than what we saw. Maybe she was slouching, or I don't know.
Maybe she walked by and they could smell the alcohol.
Right.
I've heard that's a thing. People have said that to me before.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't smell anything.
When people are like, you look sick, I'm like, thanks.
Thank you. Actually,
I'm just not wearing makeup.
Yeah, it's like something as easy as that.
Yeah.
And Jessica also calls out Abigail about her outfit at the table too.
And Abigail gets defensive again.
Abigail gets defensive, but I guess her biggest thing was just that like undergarments were showing, and it was a DVF dress.
I didn't actually see that. I know that they said that. What I thought the outfit, even though it was DVF, was just a little too like African inspired for the brand. Diane's brand is supposed to be 70s, like modern 70s. That's when the wrap dress first got really big, and all those prints, those colors. So I felt like that was not working.
Yeah, and the only thing I saw, it looked like she was maybe it was her undergarments, but I saw like a black, and I thought she was wearing like a black tank underneath or something to keep it more modest.
Right.
So honestly, I didn't see anything really wrong.
I know. Going back to Abigail, I feel so bad for her, because I want her to receive the criticism in a constructive way and fix it, but every time she gets so defensive, and it's just a block that I'm just like, gosh, we're not gonna be able to get through to you.
Yeah.
And maybe when she looks back, she'll realize. I think these girls are probably pretty. Did they say the ages of the girls?
We knew that Tiffany was the youngest.
Yes.
No.
Well, obviously they're over 21 because they're out drinking.
Yeah, they're out drinking, but I still think they're like 22,
23. Me too.
Mostly.
It's the young mentality.
Yeah, young mentality and all that greatness. So the sketches that they have, I was a little confused because I couldn't quite remember how the sketches were working, but Kier and Lenore did their design together.
Yeah, the sketch scene was kind of weird. So they got the sketch assignment last week. Kier and Lenore designed together. Abigail by herself. But I was thinking maybe she designed a sketch with who got kicked off last week?
Tiffany, my girl.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe they designed together, and so then she just showed hers by herself. And then Brittany, Gina, and Amanda did a sketch together.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, I guess the biggest complaint was that that Michael had was he couldn't believe that Kier and Lenore only did one sketch.
Right.
He was like, I would get fired if I showed up with only one option because that's not enough. Like, you should be going above and beyond. And they were like, well, I mean, it was to do a design. And then he said that it was pretty basic and not really that original.
That's kind of what Kier's style is to me, though. Sometimes I feel like I think that it's like a blogger style. That's what it reminds me of. And this is a designer brand. And so there always has to be something a little bit more. And sometimes you can have simple and be basic and, it's a classic style. But sometimes I think it's more, I don't know how to describe it, just more like blogger-esque.
Okay. I understand.
Like more like, not Forever 21, but kind of like, I'm trying to say more like H&M, Forever 21. And they're going like more for the high end.
Yeah. I get that.
And then Michael tells her, well, if you wanted to get picked, next time just try harder. But also to Kier's defense, I'll say this, is that they don't really give them that much direction. And if these girls are young and have never interned at a designer place or whatever before, then it's hard for them to know how much they should do. And in Amanda and Brittany's case, Amanda's interned at 5 other places. Yeah. Brittany's a stylist. So, of course, they're going to have a head up on knowing what to do.
Yeah, and they designed their dress with the long sleeves and one without. And they love that because it's 2 different ways for one dress and it's an option. And I have to say that like I've really gotten into dresses with sleeves lately, which I never thought I would, because I'm like, I mean, if I'm wearing a short dress with long sleeves, doesn't that defeat the purpose? Right. But I mean, it actually is stylish and comfortable, and I love it. I really like their design.
Yeah, me too.
It was
like and then Brittany said that was Gina's idea. So I feel like and then Michael responded, "Oh, every designer hates putting sleeves on dresses, so it's great that you did that." So I feel like Gina probably heard that someone was like, "Oh, let's do one with sleeves. Let's do one without."
I mean, I think Michael might be my favorite because he just kind of like calls it like he sees it. When he was just like snapping back at the girls, I was like, ooh, do not piss him off. And then the last one that we saw was Abigail, who did the jumper that wraps in the back. And his only question with that was he liked the innovation and thinking outside the box. He was just like, I just don't understand how it ties or wraps up in the back.
Right.
Which, I mean, I guess we'll see next week.
Yeah, he said he was... Well, he picked her, so he said, we just have to figure that out. So
yeah. And so he picked Abigail's design and then Brittany, Gina, and Amanda's. And then he paired Kier and Lenore with Abigail.
I know, best friends.
We know how this one's gonna go.
Right.
But Abigail's like, look, it's my design. They're gonna have to sit in the back seat and take direction from me.
That's true, but she's also in the hot seat, since we know what happens towards the end of the episode. So we shall see.
Yeah, we shall see how that goes. And I was kind of sad we didn't get back to that tonight, because I really we saw a little bit of it, of them putting it together, but I really wanted to see the final outfit already, because that part of it felt very Project Runway to me, because who was it? Wasn't it Abigail on one of the challenges in a previous episode where she actually designed something and they're like, did we ask you to design anything?
Oh, it was the vision board.
Yeah, the vision board.
She had put sketches all over her vision boards.
And so it's like they were like, no, you will not do that. And then now they're letting them do it. Yeah. So it's like, oh man, I can't wait to see the final product.
And how cool is it to have DVF make prototypes of your sketches? Like, who gets that opportunity?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
People who've been working at the company for years probably haven't had that opportunity yet. Right. So that is pretty cool. And then we find out that the girls are going to be planning a lunch event for what was it for?
It was Architectural Digest.
That's the one. So they bring in the event designer Bronson Van Wyk.
I loved his name.
It's very
I'm gonna add a Von to my name. like Anastacia Von Waller. Nice to meet you.
That's actually pretty awesome. You should definitely do that.
Okay.
That just gave me everything.
Changing my Instagram tonight.
Yeah, tonight. Make that change. Go to court tomorrow and get it finalized.
Legally
it'll be great. Yeah. So he's gonna be helping the girls out, but this lunch event, it has to go off without a hitch, and they have 2 days to put this together. They have to have a location.
There's a find a venue.
Yeah, they have to find a venue. They have to get flowers, the decor, like everything has to be done, and they have 2 days.
Right.
And there's no venue picked out?
No venue, and they don't really have a clear direction either.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're presenting these fabrics, so you also have to find a way to like incorporate. It goes back to the thing you said about them not getting a lot of direction.
Right.
Because I felt like in all of their challenges, they say stuff to them, but they don't really give them the information unless they're giving it to them off camera. Because even last week at the event with the PR people, they at no point in the rundown of all the things that guy ran off to them was when it's going to be released or how much it's going to be cost.
Exactly.
How much it's going to cost.
They should have had media talking points that said, okay, this retails generally for around this amount. This is when it launches. And Stephanie kind of prepped them, but they didn't even say like the day before, hey, you guys might want to research this stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, unless we're missing a lot of stuff here, I feel like the DVF team could do a lot more to help them out. But I also get that they want to, it's sink or swim.
They want the girls to take the initiative. And that's really who they determine who is going to be the best person for a brand ambassador, because that person is working for them essentially. So it's not like, hey, we're going to push you out. Here's everything you need to know. They're not hiring a robot, you know? So they need someone who can do their own research.
Yeah. So they get paired off into groups to handle different things. Mm-hmm. Kiera and Abigail, who, why did they end up together, are in charge of flowers, which they actually handled this situation a lot better than I thought it was going to be handled. Because when you hear Kiera and Abigail getting teamed together, you think, oh my gosh, nothing's
about to go down.
Yeah, it's about to go down. Nothing's going to happen right. But they actually worked very well together, minus Kiera wanting to add those oranges to the arrangement. Like, other than that, it went off without a hitch, and they got back, and, you know, the flowers that they chose, everyone was happy with. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, great. We're good on flowers. Then we get to the location, and that's Lenore and Amanda.
First, they went to Fig and Olive.
Yeah, they went there
which
first.
Was like a group style restaurant, and it wasn't private enough, I think.
Yeah, and so then they went to the Standard, which Lenore felt wasn't classy enough, I believe was her word choice there. The Standard's a very nice hotel. It's like one of the top hotels in the country, so
it's pretty classy.
Awkward. But I mean, I get what she was saying about the space, but at the same time, like, the Fig and Olive just didn't, that
wasn't the intimate venue that they needed for that type of lunch.
So while they're doing this, though, they get a call from Brittany, who is
with Gina,
and they're in charge of the decor. But Brittany has sort of infiltrated and wants to see photos of the location and know where they've decided, where they've been already, where they're going next. And they kind of feel like she's trying to take over.
Yeah, Amanda got really defensive about that, and I thought that was weird, because if Brittany and Gina are shopping for decor, they want to make sure that the decor is matching the venue. So I think Amanda probably got really defensive or offended because they were kind of unsure and they wanted to figure it out. But I kind of understood where Brittany was coming from. Hey, we want to make sure what we're picking out, these antiques are going to match the venue. I thought that was reasonable. I get how they could think Brittany's being controlling, but I feel like Brittany's, more than anything, is just really efficient. I don't know.
I agree with you. I think that sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And sometimes because she is trying to be so efficient, it comes off as bitchy.
Right.
And that's how Amanda was taking it.
And I think that the girls have a preconceived notion about Brittany.
Yes.
Because of her background, that she was a stylist, you know, in LA at Nickelodeon. But I mean, I feel like after I saw that scene with Tiffany where she was trying to help her, it seems like she genuinely is just trying to do a good job.
Yeah, I totally agree. I am team Brittany, and I think that a lot of
intimidation.
Yeah, there is like an
girls.
intimidation from the other girls who, you know, are going to read, because they see her as one way and as one thing.
Right.
Anything she says is going to come off as her being the villain.
Right.
In this situation. So it's like, in those situations, you have to figure out a way to talk to them in a way that they're going to understand without them feeling like you're coming at them. Because anything Brittany said, they felt like she was coming at them. So then they're trying to come at her. And clearly the bigger bitch is gonna win, and Brittany is that bigger bitch. Yeah. You know, so it's like Brittany's like, look,
she came correct.
She was like, look, you're lucky this isn't me 2 years ago because I would have your ass.
Right.
I was like, whoa, I am scared. Like, I know who not to piss off anymore, so I'm only saying good things about Brittany on this show because I know sometimes she watches it. So
right.
I love you, Britt.
I know, you did a great job. You did a great job.
Yeah, you did a great job. But I mean, I didn't really think of it in that way when I was first watching the episode about, you know, they're in charge of decor. You have to make sure that it's going to match the vibe of the whole place. While they're looking for decor, though, all Gina's focused on is like pretty
champagne.
Yeah, the champagne,
having the pinky
flutes,
up,
the pinky up, like these outrageous like sculptures to go places. Meanwhile, they don't got no plates, no silverware, no napkins.
I know. Like the day of, right? They didn't have, or the day before,
because this was the first day when she was just focused on other things. And they have 12 people coming to this, and everything's supposed to be like vintage and finding stuff that matches, that's vintage.
And it was an unmatching match too. If you notice at the lunch. Yeah. It's like it didn't match, but somehow once it was all together, it matched.
Which is like another whole design style that people do. It's like, oh yes, it's purposely unmatching but matching.
Yes. I would have failed this one for sure.
Yeah, I would have failed. I'm like, oh, you want unmatching, and I would have brought some unmatching stuff.
Textures.
Yeah. It'd been like stripes and polka dots.
I know, everything.
Horizontal stripes, vertical stripes.
Plaid.
Yeah.
Totally.
Just would have been horrible if I had been in charge. But I love when Bronson goes to
meet with all of
the girls, and then they get into a fight. Like Amanda picks a fight with Brittany in front of him.
I know. We got to see a lot of Amanda this episode. This is the first time we've seen her really come out of her shell and bicker with somebody.
And it was a little awkward because where I can see both sides of this argument, because, you know, if I'm in charge of this one thing and I feel like someone's trying to step on my toes, I'm going to get defensive too. And then I see where Brittany's coming from, like, well, no, all of this, it has to somehow unify in a way. So maybe that's just something they needed to have talked about before they set out, you know, really set the goals of like, okay, guys, here's the vibe that we're trying to create. Here's the atmosphere we want. So then everyone goes out and comes back together with the pieces that will make this one cohesive dream come true.
Right. But bottom line, I mean, all the girls are in the same place right now, and Amanda should not have called out Brittany in front of Mark. That's the name, right? Mark. Mark or Michael? Von Bronson.
Von Wick. Bronson.
Bronson. Why did I call him Mark?
Because it's easier than Bronson. It's more common than Bronson, maybe.
Okay. Well, yeah, she shouldn't have called her out in front of Bronson.
Okay, so then just to play a little devil's advocate, what about Brittany
in the first episode with Rihanna?
Well, I mean that, but that too. I wasn't even going there. But throwing in everyone else's face, trying to make it seem like she was up all night working hard.
Did that come out after or before? Now I can't remember, because maybe she was just trying to stand up for herself after she had already been called out. That was towards the end.
That was towards the end.
So she was probably trying to redeem herself. If someone called you out and then you're like get hot and flustered because Bronson Von Wick just heard that, so then you're like, well, I was staying up really late, you know, so.
Do you think that she uses that as an excuse a lot? Because the girls always are saying like, oh, you always say that.
I know. I think there might be some behind the scenes stuff that we're not doing, because when Amanda did say you act like a different person in front of the team and to us, I was like, really? Like, maybe there's something we're not seeing, because she seems the same on the show, at least in the last few episodes. But also, devil's advocate again with Amanda is that we all do. Like, I'm a different person than I am right now than I am when I go back home for Thanksgiving, you know, to my fiance. So it's just, you know, of course, we all throw on different shades.
Yeah. And when you're at work, you're always one person. And then when you're home, you're a different person, because at work, you need to be more professional and more like you have your life together, and in real life you're like a drunken whore. You know, I don't know.
After a few tequila shots.
Yeah, after a few tequila shots. You never know. I mean, Gina, I still want to go out and party with you. Because, I mean,
seriously,
I feel like,
you should get party.
Yeah, I feel like we'd have a great time together.
Yeah.
You roll off the clothes.
Yeah. Exactly.
But then Amanda kind of gets summoned up to DVF's office.
Yes. Did you think she was going home at that point?
I did not.
Me neither.
No, I never thought that she was going home in that moment. I just felt like it was too soon to send someone home when they're in the middle of a challenge. Mm-hmm. But I do think that, you know, Diane had said earlier that she didn't really know Amanda.
Right.
And so she needed to get to know her. And we know that, you know, she randomly picks and chooses who she wants to get to know that day. And you might end up on a red carpet with her, or you're just going to end up in her office, or, you know, you never know where you're going to get summoned. But she kind of breaks down when she's talking about this whole situation with Brittany. And I think Diane, you know, inspires her to be the bigger person.
Right. I know I was surprised by that reaction. First of all, I didn't think she was going home because what Amanda said with Brittany wasn't big enough after, you know, the things that other contestants have done. So I didn't think she was going, but I was actually surprised that DVF was, you know, kind of had her back a little bit and was like, oh, that's good. Stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid. And she probably said that too because Amanda's been really quiet the last few episodes.
I feel like there's more to Amanda's backstory, and maybe Brittany's whole vibe is just bringing up stuff from her, like, past or childhood. Maybe she was bullied and she never did stick up for herself. Mm-hmm. So she's finding...
We find out she's a sorority girl.
Yeah, we do find out she's a sorority girl. But maybe, like, you know, before she was that, Brittany's just bringing back some PTSD from something else. And so she feels like she needs to... She's like, I found my voice. I'm going to stand up for myself.
And she finally did it, and Brittany's like, wrong.
Yeah. And then this is when I knew
Brittany goes,
she was
Abigail.
my girl. Brittany goes like, look, sweetie.
I know. Okay, I did feel bad for Amanda, though, because generally, unless it's something huge, really, really unforgivable, if someone tries to apologize, I feel like you should try to accept the apology and move on. Same thing with the Kier and Abigail situation. Obviously, like, they squashed themselves, but Brittany was not having it. She was like, no.
She was just, like, not trying to hear any of it. And I agree that's the one person the one point when I'm like, oh, like, if someone's coming and like, hey, I just want to, like, squash this whole thing. Right. I'm sorry. Like, let's just move past it. And in my mind, it's like, I'm the same way. If you cross me once, you're on my radar. So I might forgive you, but I'm never going to forget. And so I'll put you just, in my mind, I've classed you in a different section. Right. So I know what to look out for, and I know how to, and I'll be like, yeah, we're cool. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, we're never as cool as we once were. Right. We're never, like, at that same level anymore.
Especially when you're not that great of friends with someone. Like, you're still in first impression phase, and that's what you do. I feel like if Amanda had done that and Bronson, aka Mark, wasn't, that's the American version of Bronson. But if maybe Bronson wasn't in the room and Amanda just said that to Brittany, maybe she would have handled it differently. But when you call someone, but like you said, Brittany's done it to other people, but she just, she wasn't having that apology. So it was a good lesson to Amanda too, all the way around. So.
All the way around. Yeah. And then, so they didn't really squash any beef, but, you know, we have to go back to this whole lunch event and get it all together. So as the next day, as everything's arriving and they're setting up for everything, the decor items start arriving, and you know, people are trying to get it out of the boxes and on tables, and Amanda opens up one of the boxes and the goldfish was broken. She said she didn't do it, that it came that way, and everyone's just like, ooh, girl, you gotta be the one to tell Brittany. I'm not stepping in that.
After they already went through all that.
So I mean, that didn't help anything either. And then it probably didn't help that, you know, all of a sudden they have 13 guests who are coming to this luncheon, and DVF is very European and superstitious, and she's not sitting 13 people at the table. So they need one person to actually get to sit at the luncheon and enjoy it. And she chooses Brittany because she's wearing DVF. Or at least that's what, I mean, I think Brittany, out of everyone, I don't know. Yeah, I think Brittany was the best dressed person there that day.
Right.
She was most presentable.
She had the prince on.
Yeah, she had if someone's going to sit at the... Which, I mean, granted, the girls didn't know that was going to be an opportunity to get to sit there. So maybe you're thinking, I'm going to be cleaning and setting stuff up.
More
I'm not
behind
going to
the
wear...
scenes.
Not going to wear my nicest stuff to just get dirty.
Right.
But,
good lesson for them, too. Always be presentable.
Yeah, that is...
In DVF.
Which is actually funny because our executive producer, Kevin Undergrow, he always says, you never know where you're going to be. If you want, for hosting stuff, you should always look like a host.
That's
you
true.
should always have your everything together, your hair, your makeup, all that stuff.
I've heard that in LA because you never know who you're going to meet and you want to be presentable.
Yeah, that's why people go to the grocery store in heels and full makeup, and I go in my sweatpants and people are like, ooh, who let the bum in Gelson's? I'm like, hey, I'm classy. I'm at Gelson's, guys. And it's never that thing. So at the luncheon, I thought Brittany did a great job of keeping conversation going and talking and networking to these people, and all the other girls were basically jealous.
Yeah. And they have to serve Brittany now, and especially Amanda. She's upset. Abigail, I don't know if you remember in the back, but they asked Abigail, oh, I'm so jealous. And Abigail's like, honestly, I'm just tired. I'm like, Abigail, come on, girl. What about your story? This is all you have. This is everything.
Yeah, but we all been there. When you're just I am so tired. I don't need to do this. So, getting out of having to do something, it's yes.
I know. They edited Abigail bad.
Yeah, Abigail, you should be mad at them for how they portrayed you tonight. Because, girl, I know that ain't right.
But back to what you were saying about Brittany. She did a great job.
Yeah. My one question, because DVF didn't like the birds or the chairs, so she switched those things off. And then they asked whose idea it was to cover the fabric or the chairs with
Brittany
the fabric.
said hers. It was her idea.
Was it her idea?
I don't know. I was thinking the same thing. I watched it twice, and I can't
vaguely remember it being Gina who said it.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say too. Maybe it was Gina's.
And I don't know why. Because
maybe they thought maybe it was their idea together.
Yeah, or maybe they just purposely only let Gina, because I can't remember in the episode if Gina if she said it
right
or not. But for some reason I was like, when she said that, I was like, wasn't that Gina maybe?
I was thinking the same thing.
But Gina didn't say anything about it either, so I was like, okay, maybe it was hers and right. I just was stupid or something like that. Mm-hmm. So all in all, the event goes off pretty well, and I think DVF was very happy and surprised that the girls, because after talking to Bronson earlier, he was like, ooh, it is not looking good down there. So they actually pulled it together, and I think that was really great.
Absolutely.
And then we have the girls. They all get to go out this time. Gina gets more Patron shots, and then she's dancing on tables and drinking straight out of the vodka bottle. Again, Gina, let's go party.
I know.
That's all I can think. But
she's definitely a good time, but then she got really sloppy, and then she grabbed the Grey Goose bottle and put it to the head. I think she's probably just having a good time in New York after her breakup and leaving everything behind, but hopefully it doesn't hinder her focus.
Yeah, and my thing is always work hard, play hard.
I agree.
We
live in LA.
We live in LA. They're in New York. It's New Yorkers put in serious hours. So it's at the end of a day, especially a stressful day, if I want to go out, have some fun, and I can still show up to work the next day and handle my shit, then there's nothing that you can really do about it.
Right, especially in this industry, fashion, entertainment type of industry.
Yes. And then we have the Fig and Olive meeting with Jessica and DVF, and they're kind of talking about everything, and Jessica thinks that Brittany is disingenuous.
Yeah, that's why I feel maybe there's more going on behind the scenes with Brittany, because some of the things that were said about her this episode, I didn't really see it that way, but
it took me back to my feelings about episode 1 when she kind of threw out Rihanna for no reason. You're kind of what's happening here?
I can't even imagine Rihanna on this show at this point.
No, I can't either. But she kind of threw her under the bus in front of everyone, and then now she's getting mad at someone throwing her under the bus in front of someone. So I don't know, maybe there is a lot more that we're not seeing, and I think that people sometimes...
Well, Tiffany was our girl. So when Tiffany was on the show, we saw
a humble Brittany with humility, because Tiffany was the underdog of the show. She was the youngest girl. And so I think that says a lot about her character. But now that Tiffany's not going, I feel like maybe she isn't as close to any of the other girls. I know she's kind of close with Abigail.
Yeah.
Because they had that dinner, but...
I also think that as a Black woman, it's harder because people can look at you and immediately judge the look on your face and be like, oh, bitch, you know, like, and I think that sometimes it's harder for like us because it's like you have to put on a certain level of like, hey guys, like friendly
you
demeanor.
To be softer. That's true, because
and then it can come off as where maybe that's where Jessica's reading it as being disingenuous because she's not being true to her true self.
Right.
Because if she were her true self, it might be a little too hard for that industry or that, you know, brand right there, and then people would have a different problem with her.
Yes, and I totally agree with you because you made me think of the Black female character leads that we see on television now, like Kerry Washington in Scandal, for example, or Viola Davis in How to Get Away with Murder, and they're very strong Black woman characters where you could think, you know, oh, that girl's tough or she's this. So it is kind of, like, you know, harder.
There's a delicate line that we have to play with that, you know, with the balance of it, and it's all like the game, you know, to get ahead. And...
I know, but that's why that situation with Amanda didn't make it better for Brittany.
Yeah.
It was like, nah.
It's like I'm gonna let the straight Brittany come out a little bit, you know.
She was like 2 years ago. Amanda's like, okay, so
yeah, I was like, I'm glad she found yoga or whatever it was that changed her. So then how do you feel about Abigail and Gina getting called up to DVF?
Man, I knew it was coming. I said that last week. I thought that Abigail was probably going to be the next to go if she couldn't step it up and change some of her mannerisms or her presentation, because last episode with that PR event that they had, she did terrible there. So I thought she was next to go. Gina, I don't think did that bad in any of these episodes. I don't know if DVF heard a lot about her partying, but we'll see.
Yeah.
They didn't show the end. That was kind of a twist.
We got a to be continued. That was kind of intense for episode 4.
DVF is probably going to have some words with them. That's why they didn't show the end clip.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump into our predictions for who we think will get eliminated.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So I'm thinking one of two things. Okay. Either one, neither one of them is actually going home, and that they got called up there to kind of throw off the audience in a way of like, it's between these two, which one's going home. Or my other one is that it's Abigail going home, because if we think back to what we've seen for what's coming up this season, we see Gina jump into a pool wearing a DVF dress.
Right.
So we haven't seen that yet, so Gina can't go home until we've seen that.
Yes, and I thought the same thing. I was waiting for that dress scene in this episode because she was getting really wasted. I'm like, she's jumping in
yeah,
the
she's
pool.
jumping in a pool.
But that didn't happen, so I think Abigail is going next, or like you said, maybe both of them don't get cut off. They both just get talked to, and someone else like Lenore randomly gets cut off.
I think it's gonna be a random person. I really don't think it's either one of them.
Yeah. And what about top 3 now?
Top 3 since Tiffany's gone. I'm still gonna keep Brittany and Kier there, and then I think I'm gonna say Gina.
Okay, it's definitely Brittany and Kier at this point. They're going down strong. And we forgot to mention this, but DVF at the meeting, she said you want to not like Kier, but she always like brings it. She always comes through. You always like what she does, but you want to not like her. So if she could change her personality, so I think she's going to be there. Brittany's going to be at the top, and I'm going to go with Amanda still.
Amanda,
because DVF stood behind her in that. So.
All right. Well, let everyone know where they can find you to keep this conversation going.
You guys can find me on Instagram at Anastacia Waller.
And you can find all of us at AfterBuzz TV. Make sure you go online and to YouTube and iTunes and you rate, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to Kier. I wore a bow in your honor today. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Tiona Hobson. Everyone have a very happy and safe Thanksgiving, and we will see you guys next week with more House of DVF.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.